What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Big thank you for joining me on episode number 10 of the Canarian Revolution. This is the save where I'm taking Tenerife to the top of Spanish football for the very first time. If you're with me in the last couple of episodes, you would have seen that we were working our way through season number 2 and we managed to get ourselves a 5th place position in our first season back in La Liga. At that point, we had qualified for the Europa League and everything looked fantastic. Well, in today's episode, we have pushed forwards. It's the 9th of August 2026, and that means we are on the cusp of season number 3. We're going to get some game time in, but first, we're going to bring you up to date with everything that is going on at the club. Let's start off on this page. So, with the money that we have been accumulating by both competition money and selling players, we've managed to boost our training facilities. We now have the best training facilities in all of the Canarian Islands. So we have 4.5-star training facilities and 4-star youth facilities. We have also bumped up to 2.5-star junior coaching and 2.5-star youth recruitment. That is going to be vital for this save, considering we are going to be really relying on the youth players coming through at the club and also developing youth players we're buying from other Canarian clubs. The other thing that we had to do was be a bit more active in the transfer market, and the biggest reason for that is that when we thought we qualified for the Europa League, everything was good. But then we got a message saying that Spain had actually gained themselves a 5th place in the Champions League due to the coefficients, and we are now going to be playing Champions League football in season number 3. That means that whilst we were going to have a squad that was built around going for the Europa League, we now need an even better squad and slightly bigger squad to cope with the demands of playing Champions League football and league football and the cups too. So we went out and we signed some players. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult trying to get players from other teams because we don't know exactly who was born on the Canary Islands and not. So once again, we have done the tried and tested route of going to Las Palmas. We did all of our transfer business right at the beginning of the season, so as it ticked over the 1st of July, and we pretty much raided Las Palmas. So we've looked for players who I think could either be developed now and then moved on later, or players that are definitely for the future. So the first player that we signed was Marco Gutierrez. He's a striker or an attacking midfielder, can double up as both. And whilst he may not look like the finished article yet, I think we may either loan him out to try and get him a bit of game time. He's currently only played 57 games at the age of 23, or we can use him in cup games and maybe try and rotate him in late on in games to see if we can get him some opportunities in our first team. The next player that we signed was Johan Guedes. This player, I think, is going to be a bit of a steal. He comes to us at the age of 21, and the first thing that we notice is that he has a 5-star potential ability. Now, again, I know that's against just my own team, and it may not come to fruition, but as a 2.5-star current ability as it stands, I do think there is a little bit more development to come out of him, and he could be one that we really dial into in terms of getting the best out of him and maybe even being a replacement for Jese further on down the line. He can play in both left and right channels, which means he's a dual player that we like versatility here on the channel. He's a professional personality and he comes to us at a bargain price, one that we really have no issues whether it works or it don't, because we need that bigger squad in terms of having cup players and rotation players. So we'll definitely get him some game time and see what can happen with him. The next player to come in, and this one I think we have absolutely stolen. This is Javier Martin. He comes to us as a 5-star potential player and a 3-star current ability player. You can see straight away in just the 2 months that he has been at the club, he has started to develop intensely. Everything is up in terms of his attributes. And as a player that can play as a left back, right back or centre back, can also be pushed forwards into defensive midfield. He seems to have everything that we look for as a 17-year-old, one that is definitely going to be in the first team for this season. The next player that we signed was Oscar, another new gen player, one that we have immediately loaned out to Cartagena to get some football. At his age, he's played 72 games at 17. So now we want to get him another level of football and see if he can develop and benefit from playing regularly for a team that hopefully should be winning quite a few games in their division. But looking at the player himself, he's a model citizen as a player, promising midfielder. He, as a defensive midfielder and central midfielder, has pretty much everything you would need: anticipation, determination, work rate, tackling, technique. It all looks good, and I think we have got ourselves a bit of a star in the making. The next player to come in was Hugo Hernandez. He's a player, again, comes from Las Palmas C. Not one that maybe goes straight into the first team because we have players at the top of the pitch like Chinadu Solomon, but definitely another one of those players who can be rotated in as an attacking midfielder and as a striker, and maybe we'll try and get him some game time. I think one for the future. The final player that has come in is Aymar Nunez, another new gen player. Now this player, I'm not too sure what the scouts are seeing, but I'm going to trust them. And I'm presuming this is all based around this set of attributes here. Physicals, he has 17 acceleration, 16 natural fitness and 18 for pace. But he does have things like 6 for passing, 2 for penalty taking, 1 for tackling. And I know they're not very important for a wide player or a central midfield player or attacking midfield central player. But it does look a little bit like the scouts have got carried away on this. But at the age of 17, there is plenty of room for development. We've chosen to loan him out to one of our affiliated clubs, Sabadell. We're going to try and get him some game time and see if we can start to see a big development in the season away. So in terms of the transfers, those are the ones that are complete. There is one other big transfer that we are close to completing. Now, as I said, it's difficult to spend a lot of money. You can see here we have transfers in of 4.4 million, and the biggest of the players that we were buying from Las Palmas was for 925,000. But there is a former Las Palmas player that has been moved on, and now he's upset at his current club, doesn't want to be there, and that player is Alberto Moleiro. We have had a £13 million transfer bid accepted for Moleiro. He has agreed terms and he will be joining the club in the very near future, certainly after the first game. And I think we are now really going to start to improve with Moleiro in the team, because he's one of those players who is a former wonder kid. Doesn't seem to have worked out for him where he has been. So he left Las Palmas to go to Leganes. Hasn't worked out there at all. Got put on the transfer list for £13 million. And yeah, we decided to take the plunge. We'll bring him in and see if we can revive his career. I think he's going to be a special, special player. So that's all of the business really going forward. Transfers and the way that the squad is looking. In terms of the finances, we have £1.2 million in the bank and still have £13 million as a transfer budget. So plenty of money left for us to go out and buy any other players that we need. But I do think that once Moleiro comes in, the squad will probably be complete and we won't need to go deep into the transfer window to get anybody else. So the last thing to look at is who we are going to be playing. So in terms of the schedule, we will kick the season off against Real Valladolid in the first game. And then I think we're going to go forwards and maybe come back against Atletico Madrid. We always show the Real Madrid and the Barcelona games. Let's have a little bit of a change. So we'll play against Valladolid and then we'll jump forwards to Atletico Madrid. So let's jump into the first game, show you the first team lineup. So the lineup for the first game is going to be Ramos in goal, Sejas, Trelez, Oraka and David Rodriguez, Alonso and Nazan in the middle of the park. We have Benito, Teto and Caballero, or Cabello, should I say, as the right midfielder, and Chinadu Solomon up top. Let's see how we can start this season. I have to give 2 squad numbers. Let's just auto number them. Another bit of a naughty thing. I know a lot of people like to pick their own squad numbers. But let's jump into the match and see how we are going to get on. Okay, game is underway in season number 3 and we have kickoff. The first of the highlights is a throw-in for us that is cleared away. But we're going to get the ball back through Raka. He brings it forward, passes it to David. Can he go outside the man? He crosses it in and there is Chinadu Solomon for the first goal of season number 3. Puts it away nicely with a clean header. This is a really well worked goal. Raka gets the ball out wide and then David takes his man on. I thought he was going to go past him, but actually crossed it quite early. And there's Chinadu Solomon with the header. And that is a fantastic start to season number 3. Let's see if we can build upon that. With only 5 minutes gone in the game, it seems like you almost score too early sometimes in Football Manager, and then you end up clinging on. Oh dear, especially when things like this happen. That was a red card before he even made the tackle, wasn't it? Well done. So we're going to drop our left midfielder to left back, please. And then we are going to put Xavier Martin on for a debut. Throw him in at the deep end and see how we get on. Hopefully it doesn't unbalance us too much. Decided to not sacrifice the back 4 and sacrifice the attacking trio. Hopefully we will have enough to still be active at the top end of the pitch, and Chinadu Solomon certainly is, as he bursts into the box, and Chinadu Solomon doubles up our lead. Our wonder kid from season number 1 has now really developed himself into a top class striker. Put my teeth back in. Chinadu Solomon bursting through into the box. Defender, I'm not too sure what he's trying to do there. He kind of leapfrogs. Never going to block the ball when he's not looking at it. And Solomon, are we going to get an offside? No, he's on the yellow line, isn't he? So he's coming back towards the ball. The goalie's going to stand, and it is 2-0. Impressive start in 20 minutes to have 2 goals on the board. Both of them going to Chinadu Solomon. He really has developed himself now, as I was saying, into that top-class striker where we know we can rely on him at the top of the pitch. And those 2 players that we brought in as transfers obviously will rotate in at some point. But when Chinadu is fit, Chinadu Solomon will be the man who will be at the top of the pitch for us. We've got a bit of defending to do here as Teto jumps into another tackle. With 1 man on a red card already, sometimes I do wonder why the computer allows your players to just dive in like idiots. And what happened there? There was a shot that got blocked. It's gone for a corner, I think. But yeah, I'd prefer my players not to be diving in like morons when you're already down to 10 men. You can see some of the other scores in the corner. Victor Gyökeres has scored for Atletico Madrid, and Cadiz have beaten Granada on the first day of the season. But we've got another highlight where we're playing it out from the back, and Raka has been caught. Gomez is in. Gomez blasts the shot over the bar, thankfully for us. So 5 minutes left of the first half. This has been an action-packed first half. I would really prefer if we just had a second half where we have 1 highlight, make it 3-0 and get out of here with 3 points. But it's probably never ever that simple. Xavier Martin also has got himself a booking. So on his debut, we've brought him on to replace a sent-off player, and he has gone and got himself a booking. There's a corner here for Valladolid. They cross it in. It's not cleared away very far. And as it's swung back in, it's deflected and just wide from De La Hoth. So we really need this game to start motoring on. Might make some more substitutions, actually, as we like to do here. Give it to about the hour mark and then maybe see what we can do. Are there any tired legs? I'm presuming first game of the season there's going to be plenty of tired legs. Yes, we can bring on Ali Garcia on the right-hand side in place of Cabello. Who else looks tired? Rodriguez at right back for Ali Palanca. And I think I'm going to bring Iñaki Gonzalez on for Javi Alonso. So we'll go with those, try and give us some fresh legs and see if we can't get through this game. It's been a challenging second half by the looks of it. Valladolid up to 13 shots, but they've only had 1 on target. You know what that normally means, that the next one that they're going to have will find the back of the net. Let's see if we can put that to the test here as they play the ball forwards. It goes out to a Math. Can we get a block on that or stop it? We can't in the first instance, but it does get turned away. And just as I was saying, their second shot on target results in a goal. But is the referee about to rule this one out? Mojo Ramos certainly is telling the ref something happened. Goal disallowed for offside. Now this one should be a tight call because we had a man clear the ball there, didn't get it very far. Ooh, and when it's turned back in, his heels are offside as he turns back towards goal. And you can scrap that second goal theory because even though it happened, it's been ruled out. And the pressure is starting to build upon us here. Got a ball into the box, it's cleared away. Garcia can't get it far enough away and it's been put wide. Hopefully we can ride this bit of a storm because we're not having anything in terms of chances now. At first, at least, when we moved to a back 4 again after having the man sent off, we could rely on the players going forwards. But now it seems like we're really contained and compressed into our own half, not having much of anything. We just had a shot, but we've been stuck on 8 shots for about 25 minutes of this half. And we do have another highlight if we're pushing forwards. Garcia's going to try and go outside of his man, but cuts inside to Teto, who's left his central position to come out to the wide right. Kind of gets swallowed up, indecisive, not knowing what to do with the ball. And as it's lumped forwards, it's coming back. Nizan to Palanca, Raka to Nizan. Chinadu Solomon gets caught on the ball. Now, we're praising him for his 2 goals, but that is something you can't do. We've got the ball in the final third of the pitch, and he has just given up possession so easy. Thankfully, Moa Ramos, still not convinced by him in goal, but he's pulling off saves somehow to keep us at a 2-goal lead. And as the corner comes in, there's a header, and that's straight at him too. Safe hands from Ramos. And it looks like we are going to start the season with a 2-0 victory, which is always a good thing, considering we are preparing for probably the biggest season in the club's history, playing in the Champions League and now getting 3 points on the board straight away in terms of La Liga. So we're sat 6th currently on those 3 points. There are a number of teams around us after the first game. It obviously doesn't mean anything in terms of the schedule. As I said, we'll be back for the Atletico Madrid game. So next time you see me, we'll be ready for Atletico Madrid. Okay, we have now jumped forwards. It's the 22nd of November 2026, and we're going to be playing the second game of the episode. But first, let's catch up with everything that has happened along the way. So after we beat Valladolid 2-0, we have jumped a sizable chunk of games forwards. The very next game was against Barcelona, where we would lose 4-3 in a very close game. Tetu and Chinado Solomon would score for us. Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal and Vitor Roque would score for Barcelona. Then we would go on an impressive run that saw us win a lot of games, and there were a few draws sprinkled in too. So we beat Vallecano 4-1, we would beat Alaves 1-0, Mallorca 2-0, Ferencváros in the Champions League as we kick off that campaign. We would win the first game in the Champions League 3-1. We would then beat Osasuna 2-0 back in La Liga. A 3-3 draw against Feyenoord in the Champions League was followed by a 2-2 draw against Cadiz. We then would beat Girona 3-2, Sevilla 3-2, lose to Real Madrid away from home at the Bernabeu. This was a really good performance. The scoreline doesn't really tell the story. We put up such a good fight and got out with a 2-1 loss, unfortunately. Then we played Anderlecht, beat them in the Champions League 1-0, beat Sociedad 3-2 in La Liga, Betis 2-1. We were then humbled by Manchester United away from home. We went to Old Trafford and they tore us apart, I will say. Ugarte, Ramos, Rashford and Bruno Fernandes all getting the goals, and Moleiro scoring for ourselves. And the last game out before we came back for this game was a 3-0 victory against Valencia. Jese, Alonso and Caballo getting the goals. So it means that currently, after 13 games, we are sat second in La Liga. We are just 1 point behind Real Madrid, but we have played 1 game more. And importantly, we're 4 points ahead of Barcelona, and they have played 1 game more. So it's all getting interesting in La Liga. In the Champions League, we are currently sat in 13th place, just outside of the top 8 qualifiers. But we are not far behind. 2 points separates us from Barcelona, who are currently sat in 8th place. So that's everything up to date. Let's jump in and have a look at how we're going to get on against Atletico Madrid. So this is going to be the lineup. No, in fact, it can't be because Raka is injured. Let me just change Raka for Perdomo. This is going to be the lineup. So Ramos will be in goal. Sejas, Trelez, Martin and David Rodriguez. We have Alonso and Noizan, Guedes, Teto and Cabello. And then we have Solomon up top. Let's see if we can continue our winning form as we play against Atletico Madrid away from home at the Wanda Metropolitano. This is a difficult fixture, I do concede, and I've probably gonna have it difficult. But if we can get at them and get an early chance or two, which nobody are getting any chances because nothing has happened in the first 10 minutes at all, but I do feel that we could nick a 1-0 victory here and get out of Madrid with 3 points. However, this is just nothing happening at all until this highlight. So we are on the attack, but Sejas loses the ball and quickly they've turned it over. Conor Gallagher is in behind, but Martin gets back for the tackle, but it's still Gyökeres and he scores. Going to go to VAR though, so there's a chance that this goal might be disallowed. It did look like they were quite high up the pitch, but no, the goal was awarded. Gallagher was breaking through. Javier Martin does a fantastic job to tackle and get back. But as the ball goes to Gyökeres, it doesn't really matter because he was stood clearly onside. And that is 1-0 to Atletico Madrid. They're going to draw the lines for us anyway. But look, he's clearly played on by the man at the bottom of the line. And Mojo Ramos can't do anything about the finish. So 1-0 to Atletico Madrid. And it's a disappointing start. It also means that Atletico at this point would jump up to 2 points behind us in the league, and they would have a game in hand. So if we could get anything from the game, it would be a very nice reward, as they have a free kick that is turned away by Moja Ramos, and Julian Alvarez is going to take this corner. Hopefully we'll have enough players in the middle to get up and get it away. And in fact, Ramos comes out, and for the first time, I'm impressed with his handling as he collects the ball, but they have a free kick straight after that. We can't get away from the edge of our own box as Julian Alvarez has a shot. Mo Ramos is doing really well in goal today. I've said across the series that I'm not convinced by the goalkeeper. If he plays like this more often, then definitely he will be a number one choice going forwards. Bit of a rubbish highlight, that one. Ball goes all the way across from a corner and then goes out for a throwing from a tackle. So as it stands, we are struggling in the game. They've had 7 shots, they've had 4 on target, and we haven't had anything. But hopefully, FM can come up with a bit of a gift for us. And normally, it's the opposition who get that one shot and score that one goal. I'm hoping we can steal the ball here somewhere and hopefully get ourselves or engineer ourselves any kind of opportunity, because at the moment, they have just got us penned in. The passing on display here is fantastic as Alvarez is in. The only surprise there is that he hasn't hit the back of the net. He has put the ball wide. So an interesting first half comes to an end. They have battered us, but we have kept the score respectable. Whether that's on their finishing or our defending, I'm not too sure. And straight away in the second half, they have got another chance. And it's a header that goes on top of the goal. Yeah, it's one of those where, is it our defending? Because we've had 51% of the possession. We finally had a shot on target. Nothing noteworthy in terms of a highlight. But is it our defending, or is it their lack of clinical finishers at the top end of the pitch? I'm not too sure, but we're getting to that hour mark, and I'm going to make some changes in a moment. Let's see, let this play out. Molina on the right-hand side brings the ball forwards. It's closed down by Trelez. Plays the ball forwards, but it's only turned over, and Guedes just gives it straight back to them as well. I feel like we're playing here. There it is, 2-0. I was about to say, I feel like we're playing sometimes a little bit safe and then just turning the ball over. Not high up the pitch, but certainly in these areas here in the central third of the pitch. And 2 passes later, Gyökeres round the corner for Alvarez, and Julian Alvarez puts the ball in the back of the net for a 2-0 scoreline. Off the back of that goal, we are going to make the changes. So Jese can come on, and we're going to put him on for Guedes. We're going to put Herzog on in place of Rodriguez and put Martin out to right back. Anybody else who really needs to come on? Neto could do the rest. So we're going to put Marco Gutierrez in for Teto. I have a feeling that the writing's on the wall here anyway. Playing away from home and not playing well. And then we've tried to freshen it up a little bit to see if we can get any kind of inspiration from anybody on the pitch. But it's just not looking like it's one of those games. Or it's looking like one of those games where it's just not your day. And you're not going to get anything out of this. And time is now just drifting away. So it's a little bit disappointing. But these things do happen sometimes. As Alvarez is in the middle of the pitch, lumps it towards the back post. It goes up in the air. It's headed back, and there's a third goal. Victor Gyökeres. We're going to VAR again, but I do feel like this is a goal because when the ball comes back, it goes to the back post. It gets headed back across goal, and he was clearly at that point in an onside position. Here it is. It goes up in the air. And at this point now, he's standing behind the defender, so I don't know why we went to the VAR check. But it's 3-0 and it's disappointing, especially after we had just put in some really good performances, especially the one against Real Madrid. This is the polar opposite where nothing has gone right. But as I've said in the past, not shying away from the challenges of the save, these games do happen, especially when you're playing against teams that are finishing in the top 4 and 5 in the Liga every single season in real life. Can we at least get a goal ourselves? Ball to the back post. Nobody there. It comes down to Rodriguez, and we have got a goal from Javi Alonso of all people. I was not expecting that to be the name that would be on the score sheet, but we will take it. And what a finish. This probably will go down as one of the goals of the season contender for our own team. As it's laid to him by Rodriguez, it kind of is on the half volley, and he smashes it into the roof of the net, beats the goalkeeper in Oblak, and yeah, 3-1. Not the best of days, but we will get out of Madrid get back home and try and get back into winning form before the next episode. Let's just have another quick look at the tables then before we wrap this one up. So we are now sat in second place, 14 games played, 31 points, still 2 points beyond Real Madrid, played a game more. Atletico Madrid are closing the gap to us. They are now only 2 points behind us and they have played a game less. So it's all to play for there. 13th in the Champions League, and we really are starting to get into that thick schedule of games where now we get into the Christmas period, we have the break, and then we go at it again after the new year. So I think what I'm going to do is push forwards to just after Christmas, maybe come back here for the Granada game if it goes ahead. Copa del Rey normally changes the schedule here. So likely to be Granada, and then we'll play 2 episodes in that one. Maybe Granada and maybe Sociedad, just to have a different team to Real Madrid and Barcelona. So yeah, 2 games coming in episode 11. Hopefully you'll join me for that. But for this one, I'm going to wrap it up there. Bitterly disappointed in the second game. We were impressive in the first game of the season. Much work to do. Hopefully we will start to gel together better as a team as the season goes on. Those new players that we introduced at the start of the episode will start to come into their own. And maybe we can turn it around in terms of the form and push on in episode number 11. So for this one, I'm going to leave it there. Big thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next episode of the Canarian Revolution.